live in the YT Mill Bentonville.
Yes, we are.
Look at that guy in the background.
What's up?
He's really
Very,
unmistakable in most settings.
They haven't heard me yet. They don't know what you're talking about yet.
Oh, I think they did now. Brett Tippie in the house. What's up? Great. Very good. Scot Ripple co-hosting like usual.
What's happening? What's
I'm
happening?
talking about. My name's Brandon. This is Gnarkansas. Naturally Gnar.
Yeah.
We're here. We're at the YT Mill Bentonville for Bentonville Bike Fest weekend. Very cool stuff going on all weekend long. And you got to make sure to stop by the festival site. And if you're going to stop by the festival site, you're going to go to YT.
Yeah, and there's
You better.
There's going to be a jumping party in a little bit too that you can't miss.
Oh yeah,
Can't miss it.
Oh yeah, the party. The party. Brett, you're ready. You got the glasses
Yeah,
ready.
He's already ready.
I'm ready to party. I'm always ready to party.
You're always ready to party. Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Thanks for having me here. First of all, I just want to say it's an honor and a pleasure.
Dude.
Thank you.
So, yeah. Thank you.
Very much. When we talk about guests to have on this show, you were almost unobtainium.
Yeah.
How do we get Brett Tippie to Arkansas? Wait a second. YT.
He's here. He's
here.
live.
Yeah.
Raw at the YT Mill.
There we go. So, man, how long have you been working with YT?
Oh my God! For all the years. Since,
All the years, right?
2015 or 2016? No, 2016.
Okay.
It was 9 years, and I was a fro rider for many years, and then my wife has actually trying to talk me into getting onto them earlier.
Yeah.
This hip new
company, young talent.
The bikes, the Capitals were getting Bike of the Year. And,
Yeah.
they looked really cool, and they were cool. And I finally made the move in 2016, and I jumped on Capra and a 2S downhill bike, and I was so stoked because, I used to break. I'm not gonna name any names, but in my previous sponsors, I used to break
frames.
1 to 3, 4, sometimes a year.
Yeah.
I haven't broken any YTs.
There we
Oh,
go.
wow.
That's
Which
what I'm
is
talking
awesome.
about. That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about.
So, and I'm a big guy, and I'm not the smoothest rider.
Sure.
And they just take it. They just
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
keep on rocking. And so I'm very happy there.
I can relate. Being a big guy on a bike, you need something that feels supportive under you. And when you're not riding something, you feel it. When it's not supportive,
Yeah.
you feel it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make you want to do
It's
crazy
not-
stuff.
What's that? It's not confidence inspiring.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We want all the confidence we can get.
All the confidence we can
It's
get.
basically the only brand I've ridden. I've only been mountain biking 5 years, but I crash a lot.
Right.
So-
and it still works.
You don't have to try the rest. You've already on the best.
You're right.
That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
And they just ride so wicked. They're just
They
dialed.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're Germans. They're smart.
The Germans,
They've got good bio, and they're World Cup winning bikes.
Yeah.
And Rampage winning bikes. And
Yeah.
just there's a lot of people out there who love them, and I love them, and I'm so happy and thankful to be with the brand and cool people, and
Yeah.
it's really cool.
No, that's great, man. And I mean, like the other thing too. Me and Scott talked about this early on. YT has like this vibe that no other bike brand seems to be able to match. And it I don't know what exactly it is. Maybe it just comes through in the marketing or whatever. But it just feels like we're skateboarders, and like we were like getting into bikes. We're like, where do we fit in, And YT is such like a natural.
It's like when you go to a new school and you're like your first friend's really not the friends you end up with, and you're like trying all these different brands out, and then you just find this brand and you're like,
It just clicks.
you can feel the rebellion, just the thrasher vibe.
Totally.
Where we come from.
It's
Yeah.
true. It's true. Yeah. With the advertising and
Sure.
the logos and the colors and
Yeah. It all fits.
and the way they have these cool parties and
Sure.
just they got it going on. They're cool.
No, that's
Marcus
great.
Flossman, the boss,
Yeah.
is a boss.
Is a
you know?
boss.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
He's into riding. And,
Okay.
And he's just he's on it. And
Nice.
it just goes from the top down. And like I went to all the mills last year
Oh yeah.
doing a little tour of
Okay.
the video that they did.
Oh,
Live
yeah.
Uncaged.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
About my life story and
Yep.
me showing markets around BC after Crankworks.
Right.
And I hit California. I hit here in Arkansas. I hit England. I hit Germany.
Yes.
And they're all so cool and like just rad people, and rode at every location and partied, and just it was fun.
Loving it.
And they're cool. So I'm so stoked to be here.
No, man, it's such a good fit, man. You fit like you fit in it like a puzzle piece. Like it just like clicks right in. Like
Right.
you and YT is just like, you know, bacon and eggs. I don't know.
Yeah.
One of those
When
comparisons.
I signed with them, they put out a press release that was, you know, all over Pink Bike and all the different websites in the world, and they were like, "Welcome home." And I was just like, "That's cool." I look at my wife and I'm like, "That's really
that's
cool."
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's how
Cool.
it felt, right?
Yeah.
And that's how it still is, and
Yeah,
they make me feel like family.
that's great.
And I think it's a vibe.
You need a
that-
place
that,
like that.
You know, people can tell. Like you guys feel it, and it's out there. So yeah,
Very cool.
very cool.
Okay, well, you're in Bentonville, dude, and you're riding these trails, Northwest Arkansas trails. What do you think?
I love it. I like it. You know, I just went for a rip right now. I know it's going to rain this weekend, so I
Yeah,
want to get in some
gotta
mud
get it in now.
while I could.
Yeah.
And so we started off this morning. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this. It's top secret about the
Ooh.
new bike park. That
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Little,
yeah.
little,
Are we
little
allowed to
talks.
talk about that?
Little talks.
Yeah.
Little talks.
Little talks.
Little talks.
Little
Yep.
talk.
So yeah, we went and hit some drops up there.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Rode the black jump trail, the blue jump trail. Did a blue tech trail, and then hit some more drops, and just got a little bit of media and a few shots, and then they had some lunch for us there, and showed us where the chairlift is going to go. Am I allowed to say
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
Everybody
Okay.
knows it.
Yeah, it showed us where the chairlift is going to go in the lodge,
Yeah.
and it looks really cool. And
That's awesome.
it's only 278 feet of vertical, but it's a chairlift.
Chairlift,
So
yep.
you
Yeah.
can bring a downhill bike or a big
And
enduro
repeat.
bike and just pound the laps. And
That's
that's how
right.
you get good at stuff, right?
That's right.
So you don't have to like describe the trails, but what'd you think?
It was cool. Yeah, it was well. The
It-
spacing was good.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot of really talented riders there. Like there was a massive group of people, and they're like giving them pointers, like this should be a little bit steeper here, and maybe
Oh, okay.
that hip kind of like hips too much to the left, maybe to do this. And
yeah.
so they were listening to all the feedback with open ears.
The Gravity Logic guys,
Yes.
the builders.
yeah,
Yeah.
who are amazing.
Yes,
you know,
yeah.
Tom Pro and his team are all, you know, some of the very best, if not the best,
If
in the
not the
business.
best. Yeah.
And you know, from the beginnings of the Whistler Bike Park to
Mhm.
bike parks around the world in so
Yep.
many different continents,
Yep.
they kill it. But they had their ears open to these pro riders who were giving them advice and whatnot, and yeah, it didn't have to give much advice because it was all really
'Cause
lined
it's
up,
Gravity Logic. and,
right? Yeah, so it was
yeah.
fun, and the trails are still new, so I know that they'll get like a top coat
Yeah.
of really
Get
really
capped.
ca-
Yeah.
capped, I think, is the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, very tech word.
Oh,
We'll get
no,
all
yeah.
authentic here.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
They'll get capped with a really nice dirt that'll roll fast but still be carvable.
Sure.
You know, it was a little bit like gravelly, a little bit, but still hard packed enough you could run and make the landings and whatnot.
Yeah, because they're probably like they're probably building up that what's like the base layer because like it's a bike park. So.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
they want it to sift water through, let the water go somewhere, and so the top layer will probably be just a little bit of sand mixed with some dirt, with some clay or whatever they do for that mixture.
Sure, yeah.
But they know what they're doing. So
yeah.
it's as good as it was. It's only going to get better.
It's only going to get better. And
Right,
honestly, Gravity Logic in Northwest Arkansas is like it's a blessing to get somebody from your corner down here. You know,
Right.
like that to us, you know, like there's a lot of great trail builders around here, but I mean, it just as a, you know, outsider looking in, getting Gravity Logic stuff here and then other builders getting to see that and like, okay, this is what these guys do. And one of the things I've always noticed about Gravity Logic lips is they're predictable. I know what's happening when I leave that lip. I can express it and it doesn't feel
Yes.
strange.
Oh, well said. Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't
that's what you want.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
What do you think? Like though, like we're about the same age, and I'm mid 50s, and just coming from skateboarding too. Where
I'm actually different though. I'm 56, but I'm not 56 years.
Yeah.
I'm level 56.
Level
Level
50.
56.
You can be level 56.
You can be there
if-
too,
Level
Scott.
55.
If you decide.
Okay.
That's
level
right.
55.
Okay.
There we go.
But when I skateboarded, you just street skated, especially if nobody had vert stuff like SoCal did and stuff like that. So like fast forward to now, like just the amazing stuff they're building in the skate industry and just everywhere. Like, what's your feeling on just seeing all this stuff everywhere now? Like just machine-made trails like Disneyland's all over the world.
Oh, I love it. It's just
Did
awesome
you ever
to
think
see.
that was going to happen?
You know, I had an inkling. I knew it would grow.
Yeah.
I didn't know how it would grow, and I didn't know how many little, fingers of mountain biking it would split into. Like, how could you know? But I did look at skiing and snowboarding and motocross, and saw motocross go from racing to Crusty Demons at dirt, and skiing, go from like World Cup skiing and all on the clock to Blizzard of Oz and Greg Stump with his movies, and then snowboarding go into like totally the board movie series and whatnot, and how free riding became more prevalent in those sports.
Yeah.
And then the ski hills and dirt bike tracks, it was all green. I knew mountain biking would be the same.
Yeah.
And free riding exploded, and racing has made a comeback as well. People on the clock. There's just so many things to do on the bike and ways to do it with different kinds of bikes to do it on.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm just, I'm proud to be a piece of the puzzle from back in the day.
Right.
Still involved, but the level's so high.
Yeah.
And it's humbling, but it's amazing. Like that's where you'd want it to go, right?
Right, exactly.
And I want the sport to grow, and I want more people to get into it and love it and enjoy it. And, like I remember back in the day, early 80s, like the first production mountain bike that was made was a stump jumper. And in 81, you didn't see many mountain bikers.
Right. Yeah.
And you'd see another mountain biker, and you'd be like, dude, hey,
we're friends now.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Let's be friends.
friends.
It's like snowboarding was back
Yeah,
then. I see another
right.
snowboarder, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I pull over, hey, dude,
For
you
sure.
surf snow? I do too,
Yeah.
And now it's mainstream, so
Yes,
it's like
right.
you go down the street, see another skier or a skateboarder. And
It's
just
commonplace.
It's another person on with a ski.
It's commonplace.
Pair of skis or a
Yeah.
skateboarder, right? And you see another mountain biker, and you're like, there's another mountain biker, right?
For sure.
But back then, it was such a rarity, and so the sport is more mainstream.
Yep.
But it's going in a good place with good people, and I'm proud, like I say, to have been a part of it, and just happy to be here now.
I mean,
getting to travel the world and go ride in different places with different styles of trails and builders and soils and rocks and vegetation. Like, I love it. It's cool.
That's good stuff.
Do you like? I mean, you're pretty much known as the pioneer of free riding. That's like a very popular niche of riding right now. Is it just like I'm learning about all these different niches still, even though 5 years of riding, and I was like, is free riding like to you before you even probably knew it was free riding? Is it just like I can go down this? There's no trail here, but I can go down this.
Yes.
Is that where it originated from?
Yeah, we didn't call it free riding back when we were doing early free riding.
Riding.
Yeah.
Like in the 80s and stuff. We
Yeah.
called it, in Kamloops, where I was raised, riding steeps.
Riding steeps.
Riding
Okay.
steeps. Because there'd be there was trails. There's a lot
Yeah.
of dirt bike trails. Dirt bikes have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of horse trails. Horse has been around a long time.
Sure.
Cowboys.
There we go.
And so, and cows.
Yeah.
And cows, like where I'm from, have made amazing trails.
That's
Yeah,
right.
They
and
follow
they
the
pack
contour.
it in.
They pack it in. They contour so well.
Yes.
And so the climbs and then descents and stuff are pretty cool
That's
to
cool.
rip. And so
Yeah.
there was a lot of trails to ride that weren't mountain bike trails or built by mountain bikers.
Sure.
But they weren't gnarly enough. So we would ride off trail and
Yeah.
ride steep slopes and ride steeper and steeper and steeper slopes. And then hit jumps and drops and whatnot for a little excitement.
Yeah.
But, we started doing this, started in 81, and all through the 80s, we just did it for fun. And then the early 90s, it wasn't until 95 that we ever got it on film.
Really? That
Yeah.
far down?
Yeah.
Wow.
For a movie called, Pulp Traction.
And cameras. I mean, it's not like you had a GoPro to
And
drag with you.
There was no cell
there's no
phones.
cell
There was no
phones.
cell phones.
nothing.
And
Yeah.
cameras are expensive.
And usually when in those times you had a buddy that was the enthusiast of the camera, and you're like, hey, come with us.
Right.
Check, film us.
Yeah, totally.
That's cool.
But yeah, I don't know. I can't even remember when. 95 was the first time we filmed.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But yeah, I knew that it would go this way because of the other sports that I saw do it previously, and I knew that
Yeah.
mountain biking was just made for
We're
this.
just right behind it.
And so it has happened, and
Yeah.
I don't know if I foresaw it totally, but I could foresee something like this happening because I knew it was so fun and
Yeah.
it was cool to do, and my friends that got into it loved it and And if we love it, why wouldn't everybody else? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And you've pretty much done a lot. Like, I mean, you come from skiing to snowboarding to you did some BMXing.
Not much of it. I had a BMX as a kid, but I never raced or anything. I had a BMX. I had a 10-speed. I never was a road racer or a BMXer, but I had those bikes.
Yeah.
I had a little dirt bike. I had a little YZ80.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have a funny story
I
that
love
how
those.
I got into off-road is like there was no mountain bikes yet.
Right.
And I had, like I say, a little BMX. I had a little 10-speed, and I wanted a dirt bike so bad. And I would just lust over these. And my dad would make me go to motorcycle shops, and he would go to the garbage, and we would take the crates that they would throw away back then.
Right.
And it was like nice wood, like hardwoods, teak.
Yeah.
And oak and stuff. Like, they'd throw these crates
Just
away.
throwing them away.
And so my
That's
dad and I
crazy.
would pick these up, and
Hey,
we would-
JT in the house.
we would. There goes my boss
Yeah.
and my buddy
you got to
Jeff
give the
Taylor.
boss. You got to give the boss
Yeah.
bumps.
Knuckles.
Yep,
Knuckles.
Yep.
Yeah.
But my dad and I would pick up these motorcycle crates, take them home, take them apart, sand them, and he would make things out of them.
Yeah.
Like furniture or clocks or recipe holders or rocking horses
Yeah.
or children's toys, and sell them at craft sales and farmers markets. And he'd do that for a few years, and it was just so painful because I would have to go and look at the motorcycles through the window and then go around the
And
garbage and help my
dream.
dad. And recycling wasn't cool or vogue at that point. It was
Right.
the 70s, right?
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so I'm there like Tobin Bears. I put my hood on. I'm a teenage kid, like running around by the garbage. Like, this is embarrassing. What if one of the pretty girls from school sees me here running around the garbage, you know? And I wasn't into it, but I did it because my dad asked me to, and so I did. And then one day he comes home from running around the garbage of these motorcycle shops.
Right.
And he comes up, and I'm watching Happy Days on TV on the couch, and he's in the background. Hey, help me unload something from the truck.
No.
I go, Dad, I'm watching Happy Days. And he goes, please help me unload something from the truck. I go, Dad, I got to see if Fonzie's going to jump the shark pit. And he goes, you know he does. It's a rerun. Come help me. And I'm like, fine. I'm a teenager. And I stomp my feet to the back door. I grab the leather gloves off the back shelf, and I go out there to help unload some motorcycle crates.
Yeah.
And I get into the driveway, and there's no motorcycle crates in the back of the truck. There's a little Yamaha 80 dirt bike. And I'm like,
Oh my.
geez.
I look at my dad,
goodness.
and I go, I'm a bad person. And he goes,
Yeah.
don't worry about it, kid. Help me unload the thing. Let's take it for a rip.
Oh.
And so that motorcycle got me riding. I changed gears. I had suspension. You know, it was a lot better than my little Norco Spitfire BMX
you,
or my
you finally had a
10-speed.
machine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then to top it off, after I got used to it, had a metal gas tank and turn signals. It was a little bit
Yeah,
nerdy of a
okay,
bike.
yeah,
It was a little
yeah.
GT80 Yamaha. My cousin, whose dad was a multimillionaire, built shopping malls. He had the latest and greatest Yamaha YZ80. But he outgrew it. So he got an XR200, a bigger bike, and he went to give it to his little brother, who's too small for it. So my Uncle Tom said, hey, you want to trade your little GT80 for this YZ80 straight across? I'm like,
No.
yes. All of a sudden, I had the latest and greatest motocross bike with a power band and independent motocross suspension. Like,
I've
It was amazing.
YZ. I loved YZ. Being a kid, growing up, that was all I wanted.
Right.
Was YZ80.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love them.
So it changed my life.
That's so great.
And then all of a
man.
sudden, mountain bikes were invented at the same time. So I was dirt biking and mountain biking.
Okay, you're right.
And just like, here I am now.
Here you are.
Changed my whole life.
That's awesome.
We were talking about, me and Scott were talking about the you and sandboarding.
Oh, yes.
How did that come about?
Well, that was like, I think I sandboarded before I even snowboarded.
No, what?
Really?
Or no, I snowboarded a few times, but I'd never been on a ski hill
Okay.
because they didn't allow snowboarding on ski hills.
Oh,
back
that's
then.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. The early days of snowboards.
Right.
Right.
Like Harper Mountain did, which was a tiny little ski hill outside of Kamloops. But the only other place in Canada was Sunshine Village, and I didn't know of any other hills that allowed it. So
Right.
I went snowboarding a few times in the hills just on the edge of Kamloops, and then we went to a gravel pit and ripped down these gravel pits on snowboards, and the boards were pretty raw, and
Yeah.
they're a lot more raw after
Yeah.
ripping down the gravel. But I stayed with it, and then through the 80s snowboarding, in the 90s I started racing professionally, and I was pretty low budget. I was racing pro, but I wasn't making money because it's racing, and all the money was in freestyle. It has always been in snowboarding, free riding and freestyle, but I was a racer.
Yeah.
And so my competitors that I was racing World Cup against and racing professionally against, racing pro against in the category that I'd be racing, even though I was still tree planting for 15 cents a tree, trying to make money to get to the races.
Right.
All my competitors, would be in like New Zealand or South America.
Oh, okay.
Or on the glacier.
Traveling.
In Austria.
Yeah.
Snowboarding.
Yeah.
All summer. So when the races hit in the winter, they're already up to speed. And I would be like working, trying to get to these races. And then it would take me like a week or two to get my legs together. And then I wouldn't be fast for 2 or 3 weeks.
Until you're getting your footing.
Yeah.
Getting your balance back.
So I needed to stay sharp. So I would go and rip up or go up these gravel pits with like a 4x4, a little Toyota 4x4, and I would rip down them on my board. And so I was like carving it up, and then you don't want to crash in the gravel. And so, because you lose a lot of flesh.
Stay up.
And so I was doing that, and the next thing I was doing was hitting 6-foot drops and 12-foot drops and 15-foot drops on my board. And so I was just loving gravel boarding just as a way to practice for World Cup. And it was fun to do as well. And then when I took the mountain bikes in there for these first freeride movies, most mountain bikers would go down them creeping on their brakes like and I was like on a sandboard. You have to go fast.
Send it. Yeah.
And so I just sent it on my bike, and I'm used to doing like 6, 12, 15-foot drops on my board.
So you're like,
so I'm
no different.
Yeah, so I'm just approaching it the same way.
So then on my bike I was doing like 10, 15, 20, 25-foot drops on my bike.
And then all of a sudden, you felt like you could do more with the bike. Right.
And so I was, and then for a while there, I was doing the biggest drops in the world in the early cranked movies.
Yeah.
Out of anybody. That on film anyways. Maybe there was someone going bigger that I didn't know about, but no one ever filmed it. And so for a while there, I was like going the biggest in the world until a guy named Bender showed up. And then, the biggest I landed was like 25 feet. I tried some 32-footers. Then he came and landed a 32-footer and some 35-footers, and then he tried a 45, 50-footer with a jaw drop and crashed. But he was going bigger than me. And then Wade was going bigger than him. And then a lot of people have gone bigger throughout the cranked movies and the newer World of Sorter movies. And the sport just climbs and climbs as it does, right? But for that period, my sandboarding that I did for practice taught me, how to rip it up and get used to it. And so then when I got on the bike, it just seemed easy.
It seemed easier,
right?
That's great. Yeah.
And so
I mean, I think that I grew up in skateboarding, and one of the first things that getting into mountain bikes, I think I'm only like 8 years in, but like I rode trials in like early 2000s, but like skateboarding taught me to not be afraid of
you got to be tough to be a skateboarder.
Yeah, you fall a lot.
Yeah,
you fall a lot. Yeah, and you learn how to fall too. That's the other thing in skateboarding.
I was just talking about this actually with Steve Caballero, and he said that he hits 100-foot jumps on his dirt bike, and he's done a lot of amazing things on a skateboard, obviously. But he's more scared of skateboarding than he is of like hitting 100-foot jumps on his dirt bike, because it's concrete and you can roll an ankle so easy, and there's just like consequences on skateboards that are just direct and real, while you're going massive on a dirt bike, but you got suspension and you can adjust your throttle in the air, adjust your positioning with the throttle and stuff. But skateboarding, you're on a piece of wood with wheels on concrete. And so he's actually thinks it's easier to get hurt somehow skateboarding than it is like on a dirt bike.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that when you a dirt bike and maybe also mountain bike, you fall less. I can say that.
Right.
Like there's less occurrences of falls, and in skateboards, there's more. Like you fall more often.
Right.
Yeah.
Although if you crash doing 100-footers on a dirt bike, you're gonna get.
It's more like the one and done,
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Even with mountain biking, when you crash with mountain biking, the potential to be messed up is greater.
Yeah.
Right.
For
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Because like coming from snowboarding and powder, and then you go, mountain biking, it's like rock and earth and trees.
Yeah.
And like the ground is hard.
But that was kind of like you were talking about doing the sandboarding or gravel boarding, and you're like, I'm not falling. I'm not gonna fall.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna land it.
Yeah.
There's not another.
Just think what you want, manifest it.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, was that we were talking with Andre Burton on the last show earlier this morning, actually, and we were talking about being like thinking. It's mind over matter in a lot of instances.
If you don't mind, it doesn't matter.
There you go. See?
There you go.
Wrapped it up right there.
That's essentially what it is.
That's right. Yeah. But I mean,
yeah.
you can. It's in your mind. The fear is in your mind.
The 6-inch game between your ears.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's like,
If you can see it, you can do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that that's something that, coming from another discipline and then just, like, hopping into mountain bikes, I do find it as an advantage. And I appreciate having that advantage.
For sure. Yeah, I wish I had, like, a skateboarding or a BMX background because, the toughness that you get from skateboarding.
Yeah.
Like Jimmy Asselford, my team manager.
Yeah.
This morning he was sending, like, what is that, 20, 25-foot drop?
Uh-huh.
And I don't know how long he's been mountain biking, but
not long.
Not long.
No.
But he's just like comes from skateboarding,
That's
so
right.
he just sent it, and I was just like, dude, like that was badass.
Yes.
Good for you. Like,
I love it.
My team manager is more badass than your team manager.
Shout out Jimmy.
Yeah, I was proud of him. Like he sends it, and I've ridden
love
with him,
it.
and he does a lot of cool rad stuff, and
That's
he's
great.
not afraid because he's a skateboarder. He's seen it
That's
all
right.
before, and
yeah.
And the BMX, then you get the skills and the pump with like no suspension, and you
Yeah.
get to know the dynamics of a bike and wheels and the gyroscope effect and pumping and
transitions.
jumping and transitions.
Yes, right.
Berms, rollers, like that's
Right.
like the easiest thing I picked up on right away just from skateboarding.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that just transfers into having a bigger bike with suspension,
Right.
where you can actually, if you don't have that BMX background, you can get away with it because you have the suspension to help you get away with it. But
Right.
if you have the good basics from skateboarding, BMX, where you have no suspension, I think it just makes you better when you do have the suspension.
Yeah.
So I feel
Right.
those guys have an advantage, or they do obviously have an advantage.
Yeah, but I mean, you have an equal advantage, like you were saying, the doing the gravel boarding drops, like you gain that drop confidence real early.
Yeah. And I know soil content and like depth and how much braking you're going to get in different depths of gravel, rock, or scree, or dirt, or whatnot.
That's a lot right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like carving and reading the slopes, and there's different things that you get from different sports.
Sure.
That will help you in the cross training and
Yeah.
everything that comes together to make you an action sport athlete.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, one of the things that I would be remiss if I didn't have a whole section dedicated to this is where in the path did Pink Bike come about?
Well, Pink Bike was started in Calgary by the Burkett brothers, and then they moved to Chilliwack, and they were doing a lot of mountain photos of mountain bikers, and so people gravitated to that. They had photo of the day. My buddy Rob Stevens, who is actually was a snowboard instructor back then, was dropping like a 6-7 footer on his mountain bike, and he was the first POD photo of the day ever. Like 1998, I think they started or something.
Okay. Yeah.
And incidentally, my wife was the first female POD photo of the day, riding the North Shore in Vancouver.
No.
Sarah
Oh,
Fenton.
cool.
Sarah Fenton Tippie, my wife.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And that was pretty cool. But they were doing the that Pink Bike website out of Calgary, moved to Chilliwack, and then I started working for them. I think it was around 2008 or 2009.
Right.
I started doing reports on Crankworks, and I had a history of working for CTV Sportsnet. I did World Cup of Snowboarding for 4 years, professionally. Hello and welcome to the World Cup of Snowboarding. I'm Brett Tippie. Blah 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 blah. Like
Announcer voice right out of the gate.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then I had a freeride show called The Sacred Rod I did for 4 years. So I had a lot of on-camera experience.
Yeah.
And they asked me to do daily reports from the different events at Crankworks up at Whistler, when there was only that Crankworks.
No, yeah, right.
And so I did that, and then a friend of mine, Julian Coffey, who was my team manager at Raceface, became the publisher of Pink Bike.
Okay.
And he asked me to come down to Las Vegas, and instead of getting a booth at at Interbike, they rented a mansion and had a huge party, and we had a live broadcast, which back then was crazy technological witchcraft. And it's a funny story. We didn't think we were live. We couldn't get it going. We gave up. We're like, we can't get this
It's
live.
not live.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on.
They
right?
tried the wires and this and that, and nothing was happening. And we sat there, and we're just
hanging out.
Yeah, hanging out. And all of a sudden, my buddy phones me, Andrew Baker, and says, "Dude,
hey, you guys
you're
are
live."
live.
And I go, "No, it's not working." He goes, "No,
you're
are
live
live.
right
I'm watching
now.
you right now. You're scratching your neck." And I'm like, Really? I'm
Hey,
like,
we're
"God,
live."
Hello, we're live from Las Vegas. And then we hit the show, and we had a couch, and I interviewed everybody, and then all of a sudden, everyone was on the couch, and then people started getting like inebriated.
Yeah.
And Cedric was laying on everyone with a 40-pounder on there. And eventually, we had to cut the live show because it was kind of crazy. That was the first live show.
Oh, I love
That's
it.
great.
Love it.
Yeah, so I did all the Crankworks coverage and then Rampage coverage and whatnot for Pink Bike for many years. And I was the lead announcer lead host for Pink Bike for 12 years. Mm-hmm. And I just cover Rampage for them now. Yeah. But it was really fun, and I learned the ropes and kind of shared a lot of how to cover events with a lot of cameramen and those poor camera dudes. I'd drag them around Sea Otter or Rampage or
I can
different
relate.
Crankworks, and these young guys would be carrying their tripods and camera, and
they're just trying to get the shot.
Yeah, and I'm talking to everybody. And I wore a lot of those poor kids into the ground. And then you got to stay up at night and edit to make sure it's ready.
That's right.
You know,
are you involved in that too?
Day. No, I would help out sometimes and give pointers, and I say you don't use that, or I think you should use this and whatnot.
Sure.
But
okay.
They're all pretty dialed, and technologically, I'm not up to speed with what they had going on with.
Okay. Gotcha.
Editing websites or editing programs. I mean.
Sure.
But, I had a good idea of what should go in and shouldn't, so I would help out. But basically, they chopped it up and put it up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like if I don't, I actually I'll say this right now. I watch the Pink Bike highlights first,
right,
before anything.
Right.
I don't know.
Cole's notes.
Probably shouldn't. Sorry, Red Bull. But like the perspective that you add to it and the hype, or it feels right. And so like you've been going to like the early Rampage to now. I grown so much. You competed in them
in 2002, back in the day, and and then I've been doing announcing, or not announcing, but hosting the Pink Bike videos for many since. Yeah. But I think it's really good because I know all the athletes. Yeah. And we've been in photo shoots and partied together and looked at drops together and speed checked each other and stuff. So I know those guys really well.
And I feel like if you're walking up and they're like, oh yeah, we'll talk to Tippie about this, I feel like you get like the first perspective, what I mean? Like, right out of the gate, what are you thinking? And I love that, right? Heat the moment.
I think they give me what they're really feeling, and they'll open up to me.
Yes.
More so than some
rando,
right?
Yeah.
So it's good for coverage, and the people want to be there first person and know what's really going on, and so I think I help give that to them by having those athletes open up and
I think you do
and relax, right, and have a laugh and put down the shovel for a minute and whatnot and stuff. So it's cool. I like it because you're cruising around like, I'm a bike nerd, right? Yeah. So like these guys are my friends, but at the same time I'm fanboying right out. I'm just like, oh my God, it's Cam Zink. He's gonna go over. He's my buddy, but at the same time, it's Cam Zink. And I'm looking at what he's gonna drop off, and I'm just like, oh man.
Okay. Yeah.
And him and Kyle Strader making plans.
Like,
how much speed do you think? Like what? Maybe like half a pedal or just 2 pedal strokes, 1 pedal stroke. What do you think? I don't know. I'm going to try it with 1 pedal stroke and then tell me how I look. Yeah. And you're just watching all this live, and then you look over there and there's Shimon Godzik, doing something. Everywhere you look, there's the gnarliest thing I've ever seen going off every year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the next year you come back and then you're like,
you're going to up it?
Yeah. Here's the new gnarliest thing I've ever seen happening. And there's like, 18 people everywhere doing the gnarliest thing you've ever seen that year.
You're just like head on a swivel.
Yeah.
Rad. What's going on?
It's overload. It's overload.
Because you go like, man, it just can't get any more gnar than this. There's just
and
no
then
way.
Next year
and
happens.
Then the next year happens, and it's like, it's more gnar. I don't understand this.
It can't get gnarlier than that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Wait till next year.
Yeah, I can't wait till next year.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've seen that evolution then. I mean, like firsthand.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say like what's that like, but like, has it seemed exponential or is it?
Oh man. Well, you know what? For me, it was like there was me and Wade Simmons and freaking Cedric Gracia and Robbie Borden and we're like, we didn't pack takeoffs and pack landings with water and we just kicked a few stones out of the way and went,
looks good.
I'm gonna go off here and then I'm gonna go right by that bush and then hopefully make it to that section that drops there.
Gosh, that's free ride.
No, you ready? Yeah, okay, go. And
no camera.
Now they prep the line, and that lets you go way bigger, safer.
Sure.
We'd hit soft dirt and go over the bars so many times.
Yeah.
But we're free riding, right? And this was new and cool, and we didn't really know. And so, I actually disappeared for a few years, with alcoholism and drug addiction.
Yeah.
And so I disappeared for 5 years.
Yeah.
And when I came back, the level had gone up that much. So it wasn't just like a slow, it wasn't year by year.
It was like 5x for you.
Yeah, 5 times, 5 years of evolution by the time I came back and checked it out again.
Right.
And my friends are all going bigger, and there's some new kids there that I hadn't heard of, all going bigger. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is like crazy. And it was just inspiring to see, but at the same time really scary.
Yeah.
And by then they were like, we were doing plum drops. Hans Ray was maybe free riding kind of in the back in the day, I guess.
Sure.
But more trial stuff.
Okay.
And he was doing steep ass trails around the world and stuff. But the fro riders, me, Wade Simmons, and Richie Slay, were doing transitions where we'd drop off a cliff and hit a downward landing. Doing drops.
Yes.
And then that happened. That lasted for a few years, but then they started getting the
Get gapped out. Right.
So you'd have to clear
Get
the
some
gap
speed.
and then get more speed and then land in the transition over there.
Yes.
As opposed to just like
straight down,
falling down and hitting the plum drop.
Yeah. Right.
And so there was a lot of that happening, and I was just like, whoa. And it was just scary to watch and see, my friends who had upped their game, and then a bunch of newcomers who I'd never seen sending it with this new style. And then more and more tricks were added, like Bear Claw showed up and like free riding, like Matty Hunter in my hometown and whatnot, and Kyle Strait doing giant suicide, no-handers off of the stuff and over the bender sender and whatnot. And I was just like, whoa, now they're adding tricks and then flips and twists. And then year by year, all these guys show up and they're doing all these things.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't want to do that.
I don't want to.
I can either drop this cliff, let alone like flip it or spin it or take my hands off the bars or forget that
for sure.
But I'll watch you do it.
Yeah.
Ask you how you feel about it.
That's right.
How was that?
Yeah. That's right. Well, yeah. So like it's actually I feel like it's pretty well known that you had some trouble with addiction, and was it actually cycling that helped you get clean?
Oh yeah, snowboarding and cycling. Well, it was a number of things. As far as people, my dad never stopped looking for me, and I was a different person. I lost 50 pounds of muscle. I was like full on addict, and I never expected it because I was like a pro snowboarder. I was a pro mountain biker. I was into the active, outdoor, healthy lifestyle, and I partied a little bit, but I never tried that stuff until my 30s, and then when I tried it, I went crazy.
We went all in.
All in.
Yeah.
Like pretty much like everything else.
I mean, that seems like the kind of guy that you are.
Yeah. All in.
Yeah.
And so my dad pulled me out of a lot of bad places.
That's great.
And then Bear Claw actually got me a bike to borrow, and I went for a ride again. I'm like, oh, was that ever fun? I missed that. And then Jordy Lund helped me, make a few good decisions when I was like ready to make a bad decision.
For sure. Rest in peace, Jordy.
Yeah. Rest in peace to Jordy. And then I actually met a girl, and Sarah Fenton, and she was into riding, and I started hanging out with her, and she schooled me on the bike right away because I hadn't ridden for years.
And she was like seasoned already.
Yeah, well, she was riding 4 days a week, 5 days a week.
Yep.
Riding the North Shore, riding the Worcester Bike Park.
Yeah.
And so she schooled me, and I was just like intrigued, and we started. I hung out with her and her friends, started riding again, which was amazing. And then we had a baby, and I was fighting the urges so bad because it was addiction is strong.
Yes.
And then I had a baby, and this new lady in my life, and I was riding bikes again, and when I had these overwhelming urges to use, I would pull out a little picture of my baby and look at that and decide, am I going home to that little creature I brought in the world, or am I going to go do that with a bunch of people that I don't know in a dirty place? No, I'm going home to my little baby.
Easy answer.
And then I'm going to go for a ride. And it stuck. That's what got me clean longer and then
eventually
I'm here now, 16 years later.
That's
and the
great.
last time I drank alcohol or did hard drugs was December 17th, 2008. And so,
congratulations.
yeah, thank you.
One thing that's like kind of curious to me, like especially when you're coming from kind of like you're in this world where you're popular, everybody knows who you are, you're a world-class racer in different genres, snowboarding, mountain biking and stuff. Have you ever like identified like how you got there, or maybe like that moment of when, like, what made you want to start trying drugs, or you know what I mean? I don't even know how to explain it, but just like that fine moment where everything went wrong.
Well, I was curious about it because I'd seen it in the movies, and I have some friends from the res and from different places that did it, and so I didn't know what it was all about because I was pretty clean cut. So I was curious a bit, and like I've said before, I thought, like I was always of the mindset, try everything once, and I thought I could try it, step over the line, check out the dark side, then step back to myself.
Yeah,
checked it out, been there.
You thought you had that control.
Rode that ride.
Yeah.
And I have a strong willpower. But what I didn't realize is that when you step over that line, your evil dark side has just as much willpower as you do. And then you have this internal battle with yourself from then on with someone who's just as powerful, has just as much willpower as you do, your dark pleasure-seeking self.
Like
and
angels,
I never,
devils.
you're right, I never expected that. I never expected my dark self to be just as strong as I am.
All right.
And I thought I would step over, check it out, come back to myself. Yeah, rode that ride. I know what it's all about.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do that because it felt good. It feels good at the beginning, until it wears off. It's artificial, but it's very addictive.
Then your dark side just continuously tells you you're fine, don't worry
Yeah,
about it.
you
you'll be
rationalize
fine.
why you should do it. Oh, it's just the weekend, or it's a Wednesday, or you haven't seen so and so in a while, or
Right.
you'll lie to yourself to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I never expected any of that, and it was just kind of new and exciting because I'd been, a clean cut athlete for so long. Yeah, I had some beers. I would smoke some pot or whatever throughout the years, but it was nothing like that. And then when I finally got into it, I went all in, and it's a crazy dark world there. It was like stepping into a movie.
You're right.
Yeah.
Like there's all these boosters and and like dealers and
Well,
all these different people of the underworld that I was dealing with and have to deal with.
And they want they're usually in addiction, and I've struggled with it myself, so I can relate slightly. They want you to be there. They want you to be down where you're at, or where they're at.
Yeah, misery loves company, and they want you as a customer.
That's right, because the more that you're addicted, the more that you're going to come back the next day, and then they got a lifelong customer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's dark, and it's it was scary, and I kind of almost gave up hope because I remember trying it, and then I realized, like, I can't stop. I want to stop, and I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, did I break my brain? Am I like this forever? Like, I had it going on. Like, I was making six figures. I was snowboarding. I was mountain biking. I was hosting TV shows.
And then you just.
And then all of a sudden, I was
nothing.
in the gutter, 50 pounds lighter. Lost 50 pounds of muscle.
Seems like it's
my
just like a
goodness.
hyper fast forward because you just can't, like, what happened?
Right.
Like, what
It
happened?
happens
I had all this
fast.
stuff and it's gone, and I can't even remember
And I'm
how
like,
I got here.
it wouldn't happen to me.
Right.
That can't happen to me.
And I'm just trying it. But then
Yeah.
just trying it lasted for years. And I'm like, oh my God, it's been years and I can't stop this. And then even though I didn't want to do it, I'd find, making the call or walking to where I could get it. And I was like, I was possessed by myself.
Yeah.
And it's horrible. And I just wish I'd never started. And if I can help anyone who is thinking about going there or trying to get out, I do and will. And that's why I put it on the table, because I made a decision with my wife. I go, you know what? I've been sober all these years and things are rolling again. I've got work. I've got sponsors.
Yeah.
I'm providing a good example, but I've done some bad things with bad people. And if I can help some people not make those choices, I probably should.
Sure.
Like, selfishly, it's not going to help me in my business careers to let people know what I've done.
Right.
But at the same time, it might help those real people out there. And so if I have a chance to help someone, I think I'm going to, even if it financially hurts me by having, a potentially corporate sponsor go, ooh, did you know that in the past he did this, you know?
Yeah.
But that's never really happened, you know, so thank goodness.
Well, I'm glad you did, man. You're a fun dude. Just watching you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're a really fun guy, and just glad you figured it out.
Well, and
like for instance, like when Nothing's for Free came out, the movie made by the New World Disorder guys, I had signed with Toyota Pacific, and I didn't know the guys that well. And then the movie came out, and they, you know, put it out there. And the movie was over, and the guy from Toyota, I see him and he's standing next to me, and he looks at me and just shakes his head, and I'm like,
whoa, I wasn't expecting that.
Right? And then he walks up to me, and he's shaking his head, and I'm like, and I just had that sinking feeling.
Yes,
like, okay,
I'm feeling it right now.
I shouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah.
And then he just shakes his head, and then he just puts out his arms and hugs me. And he goes, "I never knew, but oh my God, you were so brave to put this out there, and we are so proud to be associated with you." And I was just like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy.
No, I'm tearing up right now.
But
it's happening right now.
And
I mean, it's real.
It's real.
That
It is
and not there's not a lot of people that are willing to just put themselves out there, you know, on a real level.
Well, you know what? It's like I'm not proud of it. It's embarrassing to do what I did.
Of course.
And I wouldn't suggest it, but I did it. And what can you do about the past? It's
It's there.
Yeah.
Move forward, right?
Yeah.
And learn from your mistakes and help other people learn from your mistakes.
That's
Hopefully,
right. That's right.
if they'll listen, you know, people got to walk their own paths.
That's right.
And you can only start or stop by yourself.
Yeah.
But if I can give some advice, then so be it. And I actually literally have had thousands of messages on Instagram, people going, "Oh my God, thank you so much. I've been sober 3 years. You're an inspiration." Or I've been sober 2 weeks, or how do I quit? You know, how do I do this? And I give them advice, or, you know, people are stoked to know that and want to let me know that help make them make a change for so many years now, or so many weeks or months or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And there's people at different stages, and it's nice to know that you've made a difference in people's lives that are out there. And I'm glad now that I put it out there, and, you know, you are who you are, and I owned it.
I mean, it's these things.
What it is, right?
It forged you. As unfortunate as it is, those times made you the person you are today, and has given you the perspective that you're now able to give people today.
Right.
So like, I feel that that's predetermined in this life, and that we're here today, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, if that never happened, would you have gotten that stoke back that you wanted to get back so much?
Yeah, I was
You know
hungry.
what I mean?
I was hungry.
Oh,
When
yeah.
I first came back, oh my God, I did the Squamish River Gap, and I did some lines at Whistler that nobody will do. Remy Metallier, Finn Isles,
No way.
No way.
Cam Zink, Andre
real?
Lapondege. I looked at some of my lines, and they were like Andre looked at this one line, and then he's like, "Never in my life I read that line." and then
For
like
him to say that.
yeah,
that's a
and
lot.
then I wrote it for him, and then for the camera,
Yeah.
and I crashed hard.
Gosh.
And then I got up, and then I went and did it again. I crashed hard again that day.
Oh.
This line I tried it 4 times. I made it once.
Yeah.
The first time with Cam Zink and Richie Slay watching, and Scott Markowitz shooting, and I made it. And then Cam Zink came up to me and shook my hand, and he goes, "Tippie, you're batshit crazy." Cam Zink told me I was
Cam
batshit
Zink
crazy,
said that.
You're like,
right?
Yeah.
And that made me feel
back,
cool,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
back.
yeah.
I was in my 40s now,
Uh-huh.
and you know, and then I heard Andre on the phone. He's like, "You know what? I've seen the hardest crash of my life, and I've seen it twice." He goes, "People think I'm this crazy guy because I do 30-meter jumps." He goes, "You know what? These old Canadians like Tippie, they're freaking crazy, man."
Coming from him, that is like
Oh, yeah.
that's a lot.
Yeah, it
'cause
made me
he's,
feel
he's
cool.
batshit. I
Yeah,
mean,
Yeah.
Totally. So that made
Yeah.
me feel cool. But I
For
was
sure.
hungry.
Yeah, coming back.
Bet.
Yeah.
Not just athletically, like I wanted to prove that I still had it, and so I did, like the Squamish River Gap. I did like some of these gnarly steep lines that I've done and in filmed and whatnot. But I also wanted to know, I wanted people to know that I was not a liability. That if people were going to sponsor me, I was going to be there. If I was going to announce a gig, and I
I'll be there.
started transitioning into more and more announcing and hosting stuff, as well as just being an athlete rider.
Yeah.
But that I wasn't going to blow it. I wasn't going to disappear. And I literally said yes to every single job I could get. all the small jobs, the medium
That's
jobs, the big jobs. I would drive all night and get no sleep and be at different events. I did it all. I did everything I could and said yes to every single opportunity I had.
That's great.
And I didn't burn any bridges by not being anywhere. And my wife is like super organized and super smart, and she and I help choreograph. You know, we still do a busy schedule where I'm going for it.
Yeah.
Making up for lost time and trying to provide as much joy and stoke to people as well as have some fun myself along the way.
Yeah.
You know, where everybody wins.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you do, man. You do.
Yeah. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I love mountain bike people. You know, like there's those people from every town. Everyone knows them. They never leave town. They get a job, they maybe through a friend of their dad's or whatever. They're rooted.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's certain people who get up and they go and follow their bliss, follow their passion.
Absolutely.
And for many of us, it's mountain biking. And people will go and find good places to ride, or they'll make the time and maybe take a less paying job to be able to ride. Or whatever. But mountain bike people in general are people that are not afraid to take a little risk. They're not afraid to be themselves. You know, mountain bikers tend to be, you know, a little more eccentric.
Yeah.
Have some character.
Yeah. And it shows it with their bikes. You always see that, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe their sunglasses.
Yeah.
Right. Or maybe, yeah.
I think the sunglasses.
My pit vipers, I might say. I might add. Corporate.
Shout out. Pit Viper. Let's go. But yeah.
We want to sit in your face.
Yeah.
Pit Viper.
Pit Viper, you can have that.
Yeah. I told them that like that would be a funny ad, and they went, oh, "That's a good idea." And I was like, "Oh, don't use me."
Oh, don't use it. I was joking. That was a joke.
Yeah.
Speaking of jokes, you have to be the most joke-loaded mountain biker out there.
Oh, you know what? I probably maybe am. I don't know. I've always tried to be a comedian, but they won't take me seriously.
Have you ever tried done stand-up?
Yeah, I went to the improv.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Improv? Yeah.
But they told me I had to add a letter E to the end.
Yep.
And improve.
And you have to improve. That's right. That's right.
I could tell you a few jokes, but you'd probably just laugh.
Man, we got to get you on stage.
Yeah,
we got a stage down there.
there.
They're working on it right now.
Oh,
Do they have an opener? Yeah.
Right? Oh, I love it. I love it. I love when people are happy.
Yeah.
And when people are happy around me, I'm happy.
Yeah.
So it's like a selfish thing, you know.
Gotcha.
I just like make people laugh, and sometimes I'll catch myself doing something awkward or being silly just so someone feels natural when I first meet them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or if you can make people laugh,
Sure.
And with a self-depreciating joke, it's just kind of like puts people at ease, and
I think it breaks the ice a little bit.
breaks the ice,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
And
totally.
it's just fun. So
Yeah.
you know, like when I used to do like a lot of TV and stuff, I'd always try and crack the jokes, and there's a lot of pressure to be funny. And I remember I had this joke book that my dad gave me, 10,000 Jokes by Milton Berle, who was like a popular comedian in the 50s and the 60s.
Yeah.
And I would like
A joke.
I would like say, let's say I'm doing a border cross. I would watch the border cross, take notes. If there's a crash or so and so did well, I would pull up specific situations from the video, you know, flip open those specific jokes, because this thing had like a table of contents on anything. Shoelaces, 40 jokes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Drunks, 4,000 jokes. And anything and everything you could think of. There was a table of contents that had
That's
jokes about anything.
great.
And then I'd pull up specific jokes to what happened during, you know, the program that we just watched.
yeah.
Then we'd put the headphones on and it would record it and we'd do the voiceover. And so I had all these specific jokes, and I was known for it up in Canada, and I felt pressure to be funny.
After you had done that, you'd like
Right,
you'd
I
like
set a
let the
bar.
cat out of the bag.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
And so there was big pressure to be funny, and as well as like doing badass things. Like I would go to a place and I knew that I had to be funny, and I knew that I was gonna have to go do the craziest thing.
Do something
that I'd
badass.
seen.
Yeah.
Everyone would have their craziest thing, and they'd try and show you, you know, and
Check this dropout.
yeah, and you have to do it whether I wanted to do it or not. I
They
knew I had to do
brought
it.
you there, so
Yeah.
yeah.
And so it was a lot of pressure, and now I gave up trying to be funny all the time and just said I can't always be funny, but you know what? I can always be fun.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Have other people have fun. You don't have to be funny. And when funny happens organically, it happens.
That's right.
And if it doesn't, at least you're fun.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
no.
but when it happens under the with the context of fun, that you're having fun, it doesn't matter almost.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much less pressure, and it's just a happier life.
Yeah.
And just like,
Do you ever have to recharge? Is there like a quiet side or a view where you just need alone time, or or are you just always pretty energetic?
Yeah, I'm pretty social. I'm pretty energetic, but I do go night riding. I'm sponsored by Night Rider Lights, and I will go pedal. I live in North Vancouver, and so I will go pedal in the woods. You know, just like it's a rainforest. I was raised in the desert in Kamloops, but I met a girl, and now I'm living in the rainforest. And so I went from like sagebrush and cactus and rattlesnakes to giant 120-foot tall trees that you can't put your arms around.
Yeah.
And moss and giant ferns like as big as this table, like
Love it.
Jurassic Park. Yeah. And I'll just go wind single track, and I don't listen to music. When I ride, I like to have all my senses.
Yeah,
you know, plus
too.
there's cougars and stuff, and you get a better sound for your tires and the traction and stuff. And I'm sponsored by Maxxis tires, and I love to hear the sound of the tires.
I love the thumping too. It's
Totally.
So gnarly.
Yeah.
I love that sound.
And so I will go for like solo rides at night by myself in the dark, and kind of recharge. And for a while there, I'm on Mount Seymour, and there's an area called Dark Side, and it's like got a lot of like double blacks and even like triple blacks and like solo moves from different movies and stuff. But some of these trails are like super crazy and dangerous, and I'll ride them in the rain by myself at night. And you're coming up to the crux move, and you're like, oh my god, am I going to do this? I'm by myself. I have no cell phone service here. And you get an adrenaline rush and you do it.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
you're just like you're stoked for yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I would do that for a reason. And now I'm kind of older. My wife's like, you have kids, you shouldn't be doing those gnarly moves
Just
by
a
yourself.
reminder.
Yeah. And I was like, you're right.
Speaking of which, like being a father now and accomplishing the batshit riding that you've done, and now your kids are doing it. You have one kid,
two girls.
Two girls.
Yeah.
13 and they're doing it. Do you encourage that same?
No.
Free spirit.
Or, like, go for it. Or you're like, are you like the nervous guy now going, don't do that?
I get hell all the time from my wife and my daughter for sugarcoating and patting her with pillows.
Yeah.
I never took her on any blues or blacks forever at the Worcester Bike Park, and she's like, I want to go ride A-line, and I'm like, no, you're not. Crank it up.
No, you're not.
And I totally was like a big wimp with my daughter, and then it wasn't until she started riding with some of my friends. My daughter, would go off on runs with some of my friends, and they came back, we just rode Crack Addict, or wherever they call it now. They changed the name, but like some double black, and I'm like, you did? And they're like, oh, it was so fun, and I'm like, but you took her on. Took her on a double black, and they're like, yeah, she killed it. And I'm like,
yeah, she killed it.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm like, come with us, we're doing it again. And I'm like, so I'm following my daughter, and she's like,
she's doing it,
and she's like wanting to show you, like, Dad, come on, let's go.
Yeah. And so
that's great.
That's super cool. And she's good. Like, she got 4th in the Canadian Nationals in downhill.
Whoa.
And like 6th in the province in skiing, giant slalom. She's really fast and really good. But she has a certain line where if she can't do it, like crab bubble hits and stuff, she's like, no, I don't got that. I'm not doing it. I'm not there yet. And she just she doesn't throw herself over that line, but she'll go to the line, full commitment, and then knows where her line is, and she can ride at 97%.
Ride the limit. Yeah.
Which is amazing. And so,
I mean, a lot of us push past that limit. Yeah, we all know that one.
Like everyone does every now and then, but
tiptoe
she's
over.
very good at that.
Yeah,
and I'm proud of her for that.
Yeah, for sure.
But on the other side, she rides very well, but she doesn't really care. Like she can take it. She can go to a race. She doesn't go to a race. She doesn't care. She's like, whatever, And I think that's why she does well. So when she does, she's not up the night before chewing her fingernails, nervous about her results or anything. She just goes hard when she goes, and when she doesn't do it, she doesn't. And then on the other hand, my youngest daughter, who's autistic, doesn't ride at the same level as my oldest daughter, Jess. But young Alex will ride for the feeling only. And I can't get her stand up on her pedals yet, but she's like into it always. Like, she's never ever once ever said no to a ride or going skiing. Do you want to go for a ride? Yes. And she'll drop whatever she's doing, iPad, TV, cartoons, drawing, whatever she's doing, and she'll stand by the door with her helmet immediately. And she's good to go.
What?
Summer, winter, hot, cold, day, night. It doesn't matter. You ask, you want to go for a ride? She's like, yes. And then away you go.
Your DNA really made it over there.
Right? Yeah. And so she's into it with spirit, and she's not doing it for anything other than just the feeling of doing it.
Right.
And
fun.
I can see it, and she's just riding, and sometimes she'll close her eyes and feel the wind, and I'm like, looking at the birds, and I'm like, look out for those trees.
You should look forward.
Yeah. And she comes to and she's like, oh yeah, and I'm like, oh my god. So
it sounds like my daughter, actually.
Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
awesome, and I love riding with them. And I go with my wife and I ride with my daughters, and it's the best. I'm lucky enough. I get to ride with like the best riders in the world, and as a fanboy, it's super cool.
Yeah.
Like riding with like Tom Van Steenbergen or the legends of the sport.
Yeah.
And I actually enjoy that, but I really enjoy riding with my family and my little kids more than anything.
That's
because
cool.
those are my people, and
and
I'm reliving life as they are living life their first time. It's bringing me back in time, and it's keeping me young too, I think.
Yeah.
And so it's a really powerful thing.
It feels good.
I feel fortunate to be able to experience that.
That's great.
And they're on little YTs and have
the YT family,
right?
I love it.
Yeah,
man.
it's super cool.
And then also, like when you're riding with your family, I mean, there's just less pressure. You get out there. You're being the father figure. You're watching over things. You're not going like, hey, I'm gonna go hit this drop real quick. Will you guys film this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that family, you can have those chiller rides.
Yeah.
And it's good for us to go
It's
on
just
those
all
every
fun.
once in a while.
Yeah.
But when you go with the boys are gonna play.
Yep.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's when you know that energy's going to come out.
Totally.
Yeah.
But like you say, it's like a recharge for me to go for a solo lap in the woods, whether it's gnarly or not gnarly, just to go for a solo lap and just get some exercise and some wind and listen to the owls or whatever creatures you're out there. And then to ride with your family and just to have some fun and see their smiling faces and high fives at the end. That's a recharge. And then when you get back to a social situation, you're
ready.
You're ready for it. Actually, at that point,
and you're into it.
Yeah,
and you may even have some jokes.
They even have some jokes queued up.
Jokes, right? Yeah, they might be dad jokes.
Yep.
They may or may not be dad jokes.
If they're not dad jokes, I don't know if they should come. Yeah, I think you're only permitted to do dad jokes.
Do you know when dad jokes are obvious?
Oh gosh, no.
When they're a parent. Sorry. No.
Yeah, you got me. I've heard so many of your dad jokes, and I say to myself, remember that one so you can say the dad joke, and I always forget it, dude.
Oh, I know.
They just always come from the top of your head. Like, I would have loved my daughter to watch this. You say that one because she always gets so annoyed.
Right.
When I do stuff.
Yeah, she hates them.
She's 28, but she's just like, oh my god.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
So
the eye roll.
Yeah.
I love the eye roll.
And
I'm
when
like,
she wears her glasses,
eye roll.
Got him.
when she wears her glasses, she goes like this.
Yeah.
Like
over
when
top.
she's looking over
Looks
the top
over
of
the
your
top of the
glasses,
glasses.
that's her like seriously.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, Dad.
Yeah.
I mean, but you honestly, like you have them like you just pull them out. It's like a revolver, man. Like you got so many.
You know what? I love when you pull out a specific joke to a specific situation,
And it just
it
relates
Yes.
to what's happening at that very moment.
I call it the segue.
There-
The
I
segue
love
into the
it.
perfect joke. Oh my God, I live for
love
that.
it.
I pulled out one that I was very proud of actually when I was at the BC Bike
Let's
Race.
go. I want it.
And I think some of the younger people will not get it because I might not know the saying, but the people that did get it really got it. And it was like when I was hanging out with the mechanics.
Yeah.
BC Bike Race, they have mechanics there who will fix the riders' bikes overnight
Yes.
because it's a 7-day stage race.
Yeah.
And only 2 more, by the way. Yeah, it's they're going to end it at 20 years, 7-day stage race, and then it's going to become the BC Bike Festival.
Okay.
But anyways,
Yeah,
so years ago at a BC Bike Race, I'm hanging out with mechanics, and these 3 girls are walking down the street, and one of them veers away from her friends and walks across the street to me, and I had my hat down, and she goes, Adam, and I look up, and she goes, oh, sorry, I thought you were my friend Adam, excuse me, and I go, oh, excuse me, and she walks away, and then I look at the mechanics, and I go, she doesn't know me from Adam. which for the younger people, there is a saying.
Yeah.
I don't know her from a hole in the ground. I don't know her from Adam, right?
Adam, yeah, right.
But the fact that, she thought I was an Adam, and I just said to them, she doesn't know me from Adam. The mechanics were just losing it. One of them dropped to the ground. He was old enough to know that saying, right? And it came out of nowhere. And I almost broke my arm, pat myself in the back.
That's freestyle.
So
right
good.
there.
Oh, I
That's
was
a
so
good one.
proud. Yeah,
it
so
was-
So
it was
good.
awesome.
So good.
I live for that. I live for that.
Yes.
And yeah, like I steal jokes. I make them up. I convert them.
Sure.
Whatever it takes to
make them your own. Kind
yeah,
of
to fit a situation. You know.
That's
your own
right.
spin on it.
So
Yeah.
I love it.
So great. I hate that we have to end this podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a
That
joke. I got a
sucks.
joke before we go.
Okay, let's
Okay,
go.
do it.
How many mountain bike racers does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Oh, I
That's a
have no
good one.
idea.
Oh my goodness. Let's go.
2. One to screw it in, and the other one to say, "Nice turns."
Kids, remember that one.
Yeah,
There you go.
There you go.
And don't do drugs.
And don't
Yeah,
do
don't
drugs.
do
That's
drugs.
right.
Ride
That's
your
right.
bike.
That's
Yeah.
right.
A YT bike.
A YT bike, of course. So stop by the
In Bentonville.
in Bentonville, or I mean any other YT Mill locations across the world. Bike Fest. What are you doing for the rest of the weekend?
So I'm gonna go and shake hands and kiss babies.
Yeah.
Or
There you
kiss
go.
babies and shake babies and kiss
Shake
hands.
babies and kiss hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
a little
film
bit.
tornadoes.
Yeah, right.
We're not doing that
Not
this
doing
year.
that. Yeah.
I actually last year when the tornado was happening, I was on the front deck with Dylan Stark enjoying the
That's what I was referring to.
enjoying the view on the
Enjoying
front
the view, yeah,
in the tornado, and we're leaning in the wind, and he's filming Instagram Live, and he's like, "Tippie, tell me a tornado joke." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "I said, tell me a tornado joke." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Tornadoes are like marriage. You start off wild and wet with a lot of huffing and puffing, and sometimes you end up losing your house." He's like, "Thank you."
That's great.
Yeah, it was crazy. But
That's
yeah, no, I'm
great.
going to be going to the show a little bit.
Yep.
I know that there's a party tonight. I don't
Party
know when
tonight.
the podcast is coming out. This is when it's coming out. but-
It's live. We're live
It's
right
live.
now.
Oh, we're live. Okay,
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah.
Yeah, it's coming tonight. 7:00. Big Priv is playing.
Yep.
And I don't know the other fellow who's
Special guest, not yet
released.
released. I don't think.
Right.
They
okay.
said don't say anything, and I just
Okay.
haven't.
And I just
Right.
haven't. Yeah,
I don't
right.
know when they
And
are,
someone
but-
important and
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just not going to be the guy
yeah,
to say
me
something.
neither.
So.
Right. Yeah.
So
Ain't gonna
that's-
be that guy.
That's happening at 7 p.m. tonight. I'm gonna
Yep.
go hang out with the lineup and welcome everyone. Be the Walmart greeter
There you go.
There you
at, the,
go.
at the YT
Yeah.
Mill.
Right on.
That
And
seems
then,
fitting. Yeah.
Saturday there's a Ride with the Legends ride with myself at the YT Mill and Steve Caballero.
Yep. That's right.
And Big Priv will come and join us.
Oh,
and
cool. Right on.
Michaela Gatto, and we'll have Justice Barry show us around.
Very
'cause
cool.
We're like guest guides.
Yeah, he
And
knows,
then,
he knows all the spots.
Yeah, so then hanging out at the show and whatnot, and then heading back Sunday night. So
Very cool.
yeah, another fast and furious trip to Bentonville. Loving the trails here. Went out for a rip just now, right before I came here.
Love it.
And rode the Masterpiece. And
Masterpiece, yeah.
A few quick little things that were super fun.
Sure.
On the YT decoy, and
right.
got here just in time and
Got that decoy sped you right back here quickly.
did it ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
unlimited batteries.
Yeah. Unlimited
You
batteries
can
at the
go-
mill.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
you're not
That's
gonna-
right.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah. Appreciate you coming
Yeah, we
and being
appreciate
on the
it, man.
podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me.
Yeah.
No, that's super great,
Cool.
man.
Super cool.
I
to
very
sit
cool.
down
I
and
had a great time.
BS with you guys and keep up the good work. You guys are killing it.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it, man.
Right on.
Everybody for watching, man, thanks for keeping that chat live. And if you want to see Tippie in person, come to the mill.
Come and say hi. I'll give
Yeah.
you a joke. Give me a joke. I'll give you a joke. Let's trade some jokes.
Trade jokes.
Joke
Yeah.
trades.
It's a deal.
Sounds good.
There we
Yeah.
go.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
Later.
Later.